Hello. Not a problems getting things going today. Um, Anyhow, good morning. It's 2 hours away from exactly 2 hours away from the beginning of autumn. And so we've got some interesting things to look at today. I've been asked by my granddaughter, Aria, to find something a little new and different. So we are in the Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 8. The voice of my beloved, look, he comes leaping upon the mountains, bounding over the hills. My beloved is like a gazelle or a young stag. Look, there he stands behind our wall, gazing at the windows, looking through the lattice. My beloved speaks and says to me, arise, my love, my fair one, and come away. For now the winter is past, the rain is over and gone. The flowers appear on the earth. The time of singing has come, and the voice of the turtle dove is heard in our land. The fig trees put forth their figs, and the vines are in blossom. They give forth fragrance. Arise, my love, my fair one, and come away. The Song of Solomon. It's the last book in a short section of the Bible called the wisdom literature. It's full of poetry and wise sayings. It is not a book about history like the rest of the Bible. It is not um, a bunch of laws that we should live by. It is not a prescription on how to organize the church. It's not a lot of rules and regulations. Um, it doesn't really tell us how to live our lives. It just tells us about our lives, about who we are, about um, how we experience life. And it's meant to be more, especially the Song of Solomon, more to be experienced and to recognize um, our lives in it. The Song of Solomon is the last of the wisdom books. The first one is Job. Job is a pretty morbid book, although it ends with a happy ending. Well, this wisdom literature starts with the difficult time of Job, and it ends with this song of love, the Song of Solomon, to remind us of God's love and that God's love prevails over everything. I think it was put in that order just for that purpose. Um, so today's scripture describes two lovers who have come and to meet each other, and the process of them meeting each other. We don't know that they ever knew each other before this time, but we do know that they come together and they meet. And so the two lovers dialogue throughout this little book. They constantly strive for each other with passion, despite all of the circumstances of their lives. And those circumstances keep them apart, but eventually they are brought together. So today's passage describes the first time the two lovers met. Um, they know and admire each other, and somehow um, we don't even know that they've spent time together. But there is just in the verse before, in verse 7, chapter 2, a little instruction for us. Um, it says, I charge you, daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles or wild does, do not stir up or awaken love until it is ready. Do not stir up and awaken love until it's ready. That there's a time for everything. And that's one of the wisdom literatures. And there is a time for everything. And it's that one little word of instruction: be patient, Wait for the right time. Wait for things to develop. Wait for things to happen. And so we are waiting for um, fall to happen. Happens in less than 2 hours now. In the meantime, there are signs to look at and things to see. And this Song of Solomon is full of heavy images for us to think about and see. It lists all of the um, senses, or most of our senses. It talks about sounds and smells and and goes on tastes. Uh, it talks about all sorts of things that we sense. And so, as we enter into autumn today, uh, leaves are already changing up here, and some of them are falling. I'm looking at my neighbor's leaves. She collects leaves, and this year I'm not sure she's physically able to do that. She's had, um, I guess she has some sciatica or something. But anyhow, um, she puts all the leaves in bags, and her brother, who just passed away, Russell would take all of the bags and put them around the bottom of his trailer to keep the cold air from coming up under the trailer. Something that he did in a different way in his youth when they lived in an old wooden house. Um, all of these sounds, all of these feelings, all of these senses are put into effect, and they are used to describe love, strong love, passionate love. Um, and the strongest and most passionate of all loves is the love of God for us and our call to love God in return. Um, and it allows us to hear love um, without all the complications. I'm thinking, I know a number of couples who are in divorce or breaking up and filled with the complications of life. And yet, this song calls us to look at love, simple love, easy love. Um, Love like when two teenagers meet. I got a kick out of seeing the 13, 14-year-old kids at the local uh, town celebration. Everybody in town came around. They had a parade, and the little kids holding hands. Um, or the excitement of love when two honeymooners return from their honeymoon, two newlyweds, um, or even when an older couple, maybe they're celebrating their 60th wedding anniversary, or someone talking about their loved one who has gone on, but they've been married for a long time. Um, Acts of affection that come as an outburst and a natural flowing from our experience of life. At the same time, I talk about romance, and some of you might not feel that romantic. Some of you, love is not a high point in your life right now. Um, but the song here in verse 7 reminds us to be patient. Um, be patient. Wait for the fruit to develop. Uh, right now, our apple trees are bearing fruit. But 9 months ago, they were just dead looking trees. Much has happened in those 9 months. Call for patience. Call for remembering that time will come. And we don't live in a society like that. We live in a society where we look at time that flows in a straight line. It starts here, it ends there. And we're called to, well, other parts of the world don't look at time that way. My Native American friend reminded me that somewhere in New Mexico, when they have court in one locality, um, the people that show up late for court, they get a summons sent to them. But the Native Americans who live in a different time, uh, they don't. Uh, they might not show up until the afternoon, and the judge understands that, and they go on. They wait for them. Um, when I was in Haiti, we were describing time, and one of the Haitians, well, he was living in the United States. He was with us, and he says, "Oh, you're talking about time blanc, white time, which is different than Haitian time. Haitian time, it happens when it happens." How driven are we by time and schedules and everything else? In in 2 hours, I'm going to be less than 2 hours. An hour and 20 minutes, I'm going to be impatient because uh, my granddaughter and my wife are not in the car ready to go to church. Um, and they go, "Well, we'll be there when we get there." Um, the writer of the Song of Solomon says, "The time of singing has come." The time of singing has come. Um, how often do we experience times of singing? How often do we turn on the news and it's a time of singing? Fortunately, I don't get the big city news. I get the local news, and they often have a time of singing or a time of celebration, a time of people celebrating life. Um, but we don't stop to take the time to sing, the time to enjoy life, the time to appreciate life. Um, Last weekend on Sunday afternoon, I sat next to one of my colleagues, another pastor, and he says, "You know, we had a district conference. We elected district officers, and we renamed our district. It used to be the Susquehanna Wilkes-Barre district, or the Scranton Wilkes-Barre district, and now it is the North Central Rivers district. And we reviewed the history of this our Methodist district, and that in our district are three vital rivers. The Lackawaxen, which is right behind me, um, it flows into the Delaware and into Delaware Bay. Up north of me, 10 miles from the Delaware River, is the Susquehanna River, which flows all over eastern Pennsylvania and ends up in the Chesapeake Bay. And in between us is the Lackawanna River, which is the source of the beginning of all sorts of inventions and industry, the heart of coal. Um, and it just has impacted the history of our nation so much. And when you look at the Lackawanna River, it's a little tiny, it's a creek, but it's had a lot of influence. Even you might be familiar with railroads and the Erie Lackawanna Railroad, which was a big railroad back in the day, named after that river. But anyhow, we gathered and we could have elected these officers and recognized people in about 20 minutes on Zoom, but all of us drove at least an hour to get there. and then we spent an hour and a half in time of celebration and worship. And the worship was key. When Methodists gather, they always spend a lot of time in worship. I think we could cut annual conference in half if we didn't have worship, maybe less than half. It would be take less time than half the annual conference. But we recognize we need to sit back and worship. We need to sit back and praise God. And so we had our district conference on October 17th. Our new bishop, Bishop Hector Burgos Nunez, will be in our area, and we will have more time of worship and celebrating the Lord's Supper and receiving a greeting and a brief message from our new bishop. Um, I'm excited about our new bishop because I knew him when he was a student pastor in Dover, New Jersey, and now he's a bishop. It's so awesome to see people rise up like that. Um, Solomon calls us to pause and to celebrate. Um, we're going to have church. Our church will be at church conference on October 27th, another Sunday afternoon when we should be home taking a nap. And we will spend time in worship when we could just do the business and go home. But it's a time to pause and a time to celebrate. And so as we enter into autumn, as autumn will come at its own pace, and this year it's been strange because yesterday was a hot summer day, and today it's going to be a little cooler. And by the end of the week, we'll be wearing sweaters every day at least, or jackets. And autumn will come. And so as we prepare for autumn, um, I want to take just a moment to pause and celebrate God's love. God bless. Have a great day.